doctor, then I can start healing. And that's why people, as I said, will automatically begin the healing effect as soon as they make the commitment to go to the doctor. Because they're now, once you handle step one, which is go to the doctor, step two is the system will then automatically heal itself. And so we then defer to that programming. It says, we do not heal, we go to the doctor. Now, the part that's next, which is really the critical part, is there are professionals that know things and you don't. So your friend goes in with a conscious awareness, wow, this oxygen stuff is really, really great. And the doctor engages the subconscious program of professional. The doctor says, this is true. Oh, well, who am I? In my conscious mind, what the hell do I know? I'm not the professional. The doctor's right. What did the doctor say? Oh, that's going to hurt me. I better stop it. Well, basically, and the doctor says, I'm going to die in 6 months. Like, oh, okay, I set the clock on. I'm going to die in 6 months because that's what they told me. And the whole issue is this. When you operate from the conscious mind, you're operating from your creative powers and your spiritual identity. You are personally involved. When you are operating from your subconscious mind, you're operating from programs. Since the fundamental programs in your life you got in the first 6 years, they're not your programs. They were downloaded by other people, observing them. And what they say, you put that in your subconscious. Well, now, why is this important? Because when you find out that 95% of your life is actually coming from the unconscious, subconscious programs, then you realize, my God, the fundamental behaviors of your life, many of them are not even yours. They were downloaded into you from observing other people. So your behavior when you're operating from your subconscious is generally not yours, but is the reflection of programming by other people. So when you're living in your conscious mind, you're living in your creative mind. And it's a very powerful mind. And when you're living in your subconscious mind, you're living off of programs. And if your fundamental programs came from other people, which they have, then this becomes where we lose the power over our lives. In fact, medical science has revealed that almost all the illnesses we face as adults, like cancer and diabetes, et cetera, like that, are actually programmed into our consciousness or subconscious mind, actually in the first 6 years of our lives. That it's the first 6 years of our life experience that determine our health as adults. That's basically what it comes down to. And the significance is, well, what happened in those first 6 years? Well, the first 6 years is programming. Who are you? How do you work? What is are you a healthy person or are you a sickly person? Are you capable or not capable? These are beliefs that we got from other people. Are you in charge of your health? No, doctor's in charge of your health. The doctor's truth, your truth? Yes, because the doctor's professional. Whatever they say, that's my truth. And I say, well, then you take your programs and you manifest a life based on the program.
It's unbelievable how automatic it is. And I'll tell you something else. I've heard this so many times where doctors will give the instruction to the patient. If you don't do X, which is usually their recommendation or the standard protocol of care, you will die. And I think it's absolutely wrong. It should be against the law, criminalized for a doctor to say that to a patient because that's in God's hands.
And also, the medical profession, which is quite aware of the placebo effect,
yes,
is also quite aware of the nocebo effect, meaning that if I have a negative concept or negative belief or attitude about my prognosis, that will manifest if that's what I've been programmed to believe. And that's why the doctor's right, because you gave up your belief and bought into their belief, and so their truth becomes your truth, and your truth is then the chemistry that goes through the body that then manipulates your body to match that truth. And it's so critical because it basically says, what would be the difference? I said the conscious mind is you, the personal creative mind, and the subconscious mind is the program mind, okay? And that's where the limitations and disempowerment comes from the programs that other people give us. And I say, what would be, just offhand, what if I lived my life from my conscious mind only and didn't rely on those subconscious programs? What would it be like? And then
how would people know, though, Bruce?
I'm going to tell you.
Know?
You ready?
Okay.
You ready?
Yes.
Have you ever fallen deeply in love with somebody?
Yes.
Let me ask you, just if you could go back into that time period, when you were in that total, absolute love state, which I call the honeymoon, were you healthy?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have a lot of energy?
Yes.
Yeah, you probably stayed awake for days, right? Okay. Was life so beautiful that you really couldn't wait for the next day to have more of it?
Indeed.
Would I be far off from saying, was that like living heaven on earth?
Yes.
Okay. Now, no, I'm not far off, right?
No, you're not far off.
Okay, now why is that relevant? Because When you are operating from your creative mind, which has your wishes and desires, that's where your wishes and desires are, as opposed to the subconscious mind, which has programs. And then, unfortunately, as I said, most of the fundamental programs came from other people, so they're not your wishes and desires. They're other people's beliefs. When you're operating from your conscious mind, that's what created the honeymoon. That's what science has now revealed. When you fall in love like that, instead of, we find out, conventional science shows us, on a day-to-day basis in our regular lives, we operate 5% from our conscious mind and 95% from the subconscious programs. And I say, why is that relevant? And the answer is, because 5% of your life is actually moving where you want it to go, and 95% of your life is moving according to the program.
It's almost like gravitational field then.
Yeah, well, that's why the point. And I say, well, why did you have the honeymoon? And the answer is, there was the one period in your life where you essentially operated almost full-time from your conscious mind. And that, since the conscious mind has your wishes and desires, then what did you manifest? A life that was a total reflection of your wishes and desires to the extent that you created heaven on earth. I said, why did the honeymoon disappear? And the answer is, at some point, when life starts to get crowded in, that's why the conscious mind lets go of the control, because the conscious mind is the thinking mind. And so when you have to start thinking about what you're going to do tomorrow, what you did last week, how you're going to solve the problem, how you're going to pay the rent, and your mind starts thinking about these things, then by definition, your conscious mind gets focused in these thoughts. But that means that your conscious mind's not paying attention at the current moment, what's going on. The only one that's paying attention now is the subconscious mind. So all of a sudden, when your conscious mind starts thinking, you start playing the subconscious programs. Yeah, but those aren't your programs. Those are from other people. That's why the honeymoon ends. The honeymoon begins because both of you are operating from your conscious creative wishes and desires, and the honeymoon ends when life gets so busy that you have to take your conscious mind off the mark, start thinking about all these things, and the moment you're thinking about it, you start engaging in the subconscious behaviors, the programs that were already automatic. And I say, yeah, but those programs fundamentally came from other people. I go, yeah, and that's why it usually takes you right out of that honeymoon somewhere else, and you lost it. And why is this relevant? Because if you understood what you did, you created the honeymoon. You created health, energy, happiness, harmony. You created heaven on earth. How? By not deferring to the subconscious programs which came from other people, by operating from your wishes and desires. What's the point? Well, you created that. That means you could have had this your entire life. The only thing is, how come I lost the honeymoon? I said, because when life gets busy and your conscious mind gets off of you being the controller of your wishes and desires, and you automatically play the programs of, who am I? I am frail and vulnerable. The doctor knows who I am. The doctor tells me what my fate is. These people control, these things. I gave up control, and I lost the honeymoon. And then I would just give you a simple little insight. If you could take your wishes and desires as the beliefs in your conscious mind and program them as the habits in your subconscious mind, here's the interesting joy moment, and that is, if your subconscious mind and your conscious mind then share the same wishes and desires, that means you would live on this planet in heaven every day of your life.
With respect to what you know now, everything, all encompassed.
Yeah.
It's clear from listening to you and reading your books that if 95% of most of us operate on autopilot, subconscious, and we're non-local beings, after doing remote viewing for 5 days, not only was I clear that we're non-local beings and that we're not our bodies, but I had evidence of it for the first time in my life. What are you suggesting then for most of us for the deprogramming of the 95% to make more way for the creative mind? Okay,
now here comes the problem, but it's not a problem. So first I'll mention it as a problem and then show you it's not. And it goes like this. People say, well, look, when did this programming occur? And I say, well, it started in the last trimester of pregnancy. You're really downloading a lot of stuff. So the data now suggests that 50% of our personality is already developed before we are born, based on learning the behavioral programs that our mother was experiencing by just recording them like a tape recorder.
Can I quickly interject something here in terms of your own cosmological take, which is, do you think or have you thought that some of our programming comes from other lives, times, and places?
Yep.
Okay, very good.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to know where you stood.
But that programming is through your conscious mind. Okay? It's not your subconscious so much. Your subconscious is like a record device that goes in